Alright. Why do you type here in Discord and not in my stream? Everyone always does this. I always open my stream and nobody is like here. And so I'm like, well, it'd be weird if I just started before somebody told me they were here. So I always message them on Discord and then everyone's like, I'm in your stream. And I'm like, how would I know that? You don't type. Right. Good enough for me. Neutral defense. Yeah, there you go. Hi. Neutral defense. Alright. Actually, yeah, that's fine. Get my stream notification. XD. Nice. Let's start it back. Alright. This, I'm gonna talk about it more like after we watch a couple, but this is fine. This range is fine. One of the things I was saying is like, as long as this doesn't happen, you're fine. This being blocked is like never a big deal. If you're genuinely like ever really worried because you blocked spaced out beak driver, you could almost certainly just like mash backdash, and it's probably kind of a pain in the butt to catch. Not impossible, but the idea is like that is only scary if that happens, and you don't necessarily have a reason to. Like a lot of this is actually really weird in the sense that Sin does have more initiative than you to press things at this distance because it's better built for him than Johnny, all things considered. But Johnny doesn't have a reason to swing into them either, if that makes sense. That's usually what it boils down to a lot of the times. That's gonna combo. Oh, that could have been a lot worse. Tape jump, probably blitz, I guess. Alright, so you kind of chill out here. A lot of the times what I'll recommend people to try is like once you block beak driver, if they're probably gonna do elk hunt, once they're gonna do this, you can oftentimes try to faultless defense this to save a little bit of your risk gauge, and then that mitigates some of the like looping offense a lot of the times. Jump, yeah. You didn't have the bar for it anymore, but anytime anyone's doing this to me, in general, it's like a small. This is the last time I'll try to pause like this. Anytime anyone is normally doing something like this to me, where I can't really anti-air them because it'll cross me up as I'm doing my 6P as whatever character I might be, I'll blitz them instead. I know you're gonna press a button, and like you usually can tell when they're gonna press the button too. It's just that anti-airing doesn't like conventionally work here. Alternatively, you can just 6K to get out, but you won't hit them. You won't interact with them, right? But the idea is like these are obnoxious types of jump-ins because they are angled around your 6P. They're like directly above you. But because the wall is there, they don't jump past you, which is normally why in the middle of the screen you wouldn't run into this issue like almost ever. Right? It's a unique thing to the corner, and it's usually nice to remember. Like this is fine, you know. This is fine. Usually learning to interact now is like, if you were gonna do it, it would be like right now. And we'll talk about it a little bit. There's like a dynamic to interacting with Leap. Leap is usually the easiest way that Sin will like sneak in resets in his pressure without like utilizing food, basically. But Leap is hard to use consistently. He's gonna tuck into you. I'll kind of over 5K. I think I blitzed. That was a really good side switch. I didn't even know you had time for that. This is kind of close. Oh, nice. Yeah. By the way, it's up to you. I was gonna mention, we'll talk about it in terms of running offense, but versus characters with DPs, it's also okay to space your sweeps so that you avoid situations like this a little better. Sin's a little interesting though, because his reacting and leave something you gotta work on. You can kind of anticipate it, is the way I would put it, if that makes sense. Oh, nice pickup. Yeah, you are getting better. I wouldn't have expected you to get a pickup like that before. Yeah, spacing 2D is good. It's an alternative. You can also just practice like going back to the original thing I told you, which is like you also just don't have like you can just stand in front of them, right? Like backdashing on Oki would be a DP and also incentivize them to do like crazy stuff. We'll talk about there's a really key point too. Let me actually notepad because I like completely forgot to notepad. Also, we're gonna count this as like 5 minutes because I forgot to start this, but it's been like 5 minutes. So we'll just call it even Stevens. Yeah, it's actually legit been like exactly 5 minutes. It's funny. Let me bust out notepad. Okay. Oh, I forgot to write one more thing. Oh, sorry. Okay. Let me see if he did the thing I think he did. Yeah, he did. He's been doing it a lot. A lot of Sins will kind of sneak in early air button presses off of leap in a way that only hits you for like standing, basically. That's a good catch. Yeah, so like here, yeah, that's exactly like that's a good way. That's a good adjustment. That's a really good adjustment. If you really don't want to deal with DP, that's how you don't do it. Or at least you engage in a different kind of RPS that's like scary on both sides. That's the way I would put it. You know what's messed up? You can still combo. This is like the one time Johnny is, in quotations, like required to use meter. You do dash, treasure hunt, and it picks up. Not that I'm saying to do that, it's just that is one of the few times that like, if you want the extension, you do have to spend bar as Johnny. It's level 3, or sorry, level 2 came as finer mid-screen. It's gonna be it. Be careful taking space like this after you get Camus Finers that don't knock down. The rule of thumb, it's a really simple rule of thumb, I would say, is if this is gonna hit them, but not knock down, all you have to ask yourself is, does dashing forward get clipped by tech forward buttons? And if the answer is yes, you probably shouldn't dash forward. You should, like, you can walk forward here if you want a bit, but if dashing forward will probably get clipped by tech forward buttons, don't do it. It's like a really easy rule of thumb to follow, right? You essentially, like, don't usually get punished for that. Or if they punish you, it is really specific, and they are essentially calling out that one option. Also, I want to go back, because I didn't get to see... Oh, he did too, okay. He hasn't done it that much, and I'll talk about it when we like go over stuff in training mode, but Sin 6H is a pretty, it's like Elk Hunt, but nobody talks about it. Like, in order for you to slow down Sin's offense, learning to instant block this button, or he hasn't really done it as much, but learning to instant block 6K is like pretty important. It's good spacing. See, so the idea, and you've kind of been like passively doing it in this round, in all honesty, is like nothing is necessarily happening, but that's okay if that makes sense. Like, that's not a bad thing for Johnny in matchups like this, where you're not dying once you get knocked down necessarily. Any matchup where you're not super pressured to just kill them first, doing kind of a lot of nothing like this is fine, because you might notice like you're building bar. Right, like you're building a lot of resources, and you will eventually get to start doing stuff like this, right? The priority is avoiding like a lot of danger if you can help it, and learning like where you should interact, like when it's finally time, etc. Oh, you can crouch here. This is also why on frame disadvantage, learning to crouch is good, because if you say you'd autopiloted backdash, like this might have caught it. But the fact that you stood into this is the reason it hit you. If you remain crouching there, you get a punish instead. Same with those. None of these will hit you if well, I should double check this because Johnny's tall, but like this jump S probably doesn't hit you if you just crouch. But it's like an optical illusion. Sins are in the air, and so you tell yourself like, well, I need to block high, right? But that tends to not. Nice. It's just the game, baby. I fucking love this game, dude. I never get sick of this game because it's so real. Like that's so relatable. I've been on both sides of that exchange, on that style of exchange, just winning off fucking gambling on wake up. But yeah, a lot of the stuff so far has been strings that have only probably hit you because you're standing up too early. Nice, catches you. So you see how Treble is holding you in this spacing and actually waiting out your approaches? Johnny can do a similar idea to Sin. Like they both can apply this idea on each other. The only difference is that Sin is built for poking in the range that you love to normally stand in and other people can't reach you. But his pokes aren't a big deal if you just don't get hit. That's instantly mashes. That's tough. I mean, what can you say? Sometimes people just instantly mash. Oh, that was spooky. I like this. It's fine to go a little coin heavy. Like, this is good recognition of like, I'm basically gonna die, so I might as well just start getting like pretty greedy. I like that a lot. Something you can do, and we'll talk about it, it's a little harder, is this is like an extra tidbit. It's not crazy like important, but it is nice to like let's see, /. If you're going to do, because I think you have it here, I'm pretty sure, right? I think you get it and he doesn't tech. Oh no, he doesn't. Alright, never mind. It's a little harder to get then. If you're ever level 3 when you get to do the sweep like this, a lot of the times you can do misfinder cancel /. Like, you can just do that as the string. And the idea is, like, you're either going to clash, see the clash, and go like, oh, okay, I'll just faultless defense or something, right? Or they will block, and you will get 2D into /, or they will get hit, which can happen. And if they get hit by the first 2D, the miscancel in the // is fast enough. It picks up anybody, I'm pretty sure. Even like the heavier characters. You might need to check that. But the idea is that it's a pretty like consistent string that catches a lot of things and doesn't require you to like really hit confirm the situation. Because hit confirming a single hit 2D is hard. And like not really as much of a thing as you might think. Here, you have a ton of bar. You can do 2S is one of those buttons where like if somebody's smart, then they know that Johnny's pressure isn't that real after 2S for like a handful of reasons compared to other points in his offense. When people start like blocking this, do YY or C as like RPS. It's really straightforward and good because what it means is like now they have to worry about you overextending into that and forcing a mix-up, which kind of incentivizes them to get hit again, is the idea. Because right now he is just like in down back mode, right? And the way that you often punish down back mode with a character like Johnny is like you can just force his YY or C and try to hit the timing high enough so that you can get an air dash. That's the idea. I'll watch like maybe one more or two more of these, but I think we have like a couple like key things to focus on. I'm surprised he actually hasn't 6H'd you that much. Yeah, so like honestly, be careful doing this in neutral. Misfinder cancel every now and then is pretty chill, like because you want to check the approaches. But you have to remember, like he could beak driver, like he could have beak driver that, and you'd lose like half your health. Even if you hit this, like this is all you get, right? So the risk reward on playing like the usual poke war is like not real for Johnny. You're kind of looking for Sin to overextend or at least use some more calories before you do things. So that even if he does hit you, like maybe it won't hurt as much. And remember, like walking around and doing nothing in a matchup like this is pretty chill. You're just gonna build bar. But you have to lean away from taking, so like see this situation, this is why he air dashes. Hey, what's up, Ledcog? This is why they air dash. Like this is why he's doing it, and it's a good idea. Like it's a good idea on his part. If you whiff a normal and you're recognizing that you're minus, so you panic and you backdash, his air dash is catching you for like a lot of value. You're about to eat like 30% or more, right? See, boom, boom, boom. This is all that happened. In this situation, when you're minus, once somebody shows that they can do that to you, you just have to like try to make a habit of telling yourself, yes, I was wrong, but I need to accept that and wait. If you just wait here, like don't do this, you would punish him by just like crouching, standing, and then pressing like 5p or cliff slash there instead. But he clips you for trying to move, right? Because that wasn't a punish. He caught your movement. Sometimes it's okay to accept being minus in this game. But what I mean by that is like the RPS of sometimes I backdash, sometimes I don't, is honestly strong enough to warrant not backdashing all the time. Nice. You can also use coin if you ever want a safe extension off of, I mean it missed, so it's different, but 2S and a coin is also pretty good. Like here, you can do coin and it will kind of give you like a safer dash up than this, even though like he's respecting a lot, so it's not really that big a deal. Coin will also make it so that every now and then, like here, if you threw a coin, he would mash into it, right? Coin is a good check on like, are you actually interacting with me directly? And you will probably die for it. I just focus on like defense and neutral. Honestly, you haven't really been on the defensive that much for what it's worth. So it's kind of funny that like most of what's been happening feels like these are like the rare moments you're on defense. Is like when he knocks you down off of like a mistake that you got caught for in neutral like this, or like a drop combo or whatever. A lot of the damage you've been eating for the most part in the last like 2 or 3 games, honestly, funny enough, has not been oriented around. He's gonna dead angle if he gets a hit. Are you trying to wake up super? It's been a lot of you just getting hit in neutral, funny enough. It's actually, your defense isn't necessarily that bad. You just haven't really been in many spots where Sin is running offense for that long. It happened at one point when he did like a bunch of leap pressure, but not much besides that. See, like this, you gotta be careful, bro. That trade is not good for you. It's okay to do it. Like once I think once he starts fishing for beak, you're incentivized to maybe not K-miss minor as much. Because if he sees you trying to harass in neutral, he's gonna try to play the risk reward, because that's what Sin would want to do. Like should want to do there. Boom. Yeah, like honestly, this is there's not too much to say besides like you just gotta be a little bit more careful about it with like JD. Learning to play the situation after you block JD is also like a little underrated. It's nice to know that like you're supposed to anticipate like the special cancel and instant block and force him to be minus more than he would like to be, and then like knock down into a mix up, get clipped. Yeah, I'm trying to jump out of throw on this, my guess. I'll watch like one more. Get clipped. Yeah, this is kind of what we said earlier. Actually, I gotta add that really quick. That was a little spooky, but it was good to delay the burst. Can attack. Ape shot. I will also say, as a rule of thumb, even if it feels scary, like I'll put this in the notes too. This is actually a pretty big takeaway because it's happened like multiple times. Is like you kind of don't need a dead angle versus Sin, and like we'll talk about it. But the idea, like I will show you why you don't really need to do it, because you are losing a valuable resource there. Some characters, I think it's fine. Like if you're genuinely scared and don't want to have to maybe potentially block like as a panic thing, yeah, I'll give you a thought process on like how to avoid it, if that makes sense. We'll like kind of talk about it. Yeah, so this is a good example, and like we'll talk about it since the last game I'm like really gonna look at anyway. Is learning to deal with this kind of sequence, right? Like first that leap is kind of fake in some ways, but also like this is not that real for like a lot of reasons. 3K 6H is like a very over abused string from Sin players because a lot of people like know how to interact with it. But there's a lot of points of interaction, and honestly, just blocking this, like just this kind of, it might not feel like it, but little things like this, not like being interactive, it makes the character's offense like way too good. Like the fact that he doesn't have to even like rotate off of 3K 6H almost ever is like a pretty big deal. for a handful of reasons. Right? And like the elk hunts are a big one too. Like everyone and their mother will be the first person to be like, yeah man, you gotta like IB elk hunt and shit like that. And I will be also one of those people, but also that string is really important to identify. And we'll talk about like, I think there is a way in which you can play to make practicing instant blocks like a little easier. And it is to like record the actual block string that you're usually running into. A lot of instant blocks are like memorization of like the character's rhythm more than anything else. A lot of characters have rhythm that they can't diverge from too much, mostly because of like the restriction on Gatling cancels. Oh, that's spooky. Don't do that. If you're not gonna like get the hit, you just gotta chill, man. The good thing is Johnny JD pushes people so far, even if you don't get the knockdown, like you're always positioned to anti-air. You could have thrown him more too, by the way. Is like another thing I would have noted like on your offense. Good patience. Or like good call out. Little unnecessary violence, but it was good intuition when you were right. Was that throw? Was that fuzzy throw? I saw an animation from Johnny. Oh, it was dead angle. It was dead angle attempt, okay. I saw the 6p. That's a better dead angle. If you had to pick, that one's okay. It costed him some bar, but like, see, now you're just like trading dead angles, right? Yeah. Leap has been a big bully. The whole, pretty much Sin jumping at you has also been a pretty big constant throughout the set. Yeah. One thing to consider, we'll talk about it, is even if 2S is pushing you out too far, where you might think 2S into dash into throw is like not real, this should kill you. Even if you didn't think that like miscancel dash throw should work because of, let's say, like distance. Oh shit, I just realized I have my stick out of my hitbox. It should be fine. I don't think I need any fancy inputs for what I'm gonna do. I think my hitbox execution should scrape by. What was I saying? Let me pick characters real quick. Oh, the 2S thing. Anytime like you're like, oh no, my like miscancel dash up. Not anytime, but usually off of 2S, like kind of further out. You're like, damn, even if I miscancel this and run forward, like it's not gonna work because I won't be in throw range. You can oftentimes throw a coin. The coin will kind of jail them a little safer, and the coin is plus, so you can tick throw off of your frame advantage on coin, right? So like this situation can come up sometimes as Johnny, where like I'm not in throw range clearly, but if I throw this, I can walk in it if I want to, right? And that is like a scary thing that like the opponent has to consider, is that I can like walk up in. I guess you would still car a throw here, but is easier to like get away with is the idea. Also in the corner, the pushback won't happen. In the middle of the screen it does too. So like, even though if I did this, right, which is like same distance essentially, whoops, I wouldn't be in throw range, see? That's a really like easy thing to keep in mind off of this. Like I know you didn't ask about this, but it's nice because oftentimes like you want to press this button to help you with jumping. But what a lot of Johnny players kind of end up doing on accident is you realize like this doesn't leave you in like miscancel throw range. And then you end up in this weird loop of like, well, how do I get close enough that I can scare people into thinking I can throw them, right? Because Johnny is scary when he can do like this to you. That's when he's most scary for most people, right? And like once you push yourself out like this, the two main things are, oh my god, I can't TP. Right, YYRCs or like other one, right? So you're either telling yourself as Johnny, would I rather spend a coin to kind of get on top of people right away again, or would I rather YYRC, right? One or the other. But 2S tends to pair very well with either one of these tools. You did a good job of using 2S, and he did a good job of blocking it. So you have to do a like a little bit of more greed in terms. You can even do like fake teleport, right? Like I'll see Johnnies do this shit, and I don't think they should, but like I've been hit by it, so it's whatever. Like it's good enough that like you'll catch people sleeping at the wheel for sure. So keep that in mind. I want to talk about this because this is actually important on defense. Something a lot of people know is this is not like gapless. So like first of all, you can always like if you have a solid read after you block 3H. You can blitz it. That's always, that shit always has a gap, even on regular block. Like I didn't have to instant block this. It's not distance based. It doesn't matter if I'm closer. Like there's just never, that never jails, right? And so the reason it's kind of nice to know that is that Sin 6H is like Baiken 6K, Kabari, Fafnir, etc. If I'm not mistaken, this button is either +2 or -2. But the fact that it can be plus is a really big deal, because what ends up happening is like somebody will do this to check you for low. And then they'll do this, and if you got hit crouching for whatever reason, like if you're jumping or like mashing a crouch button or whatever, like this is going to combo anyway, right? So let's say you're like doing like this, right? So you're gonna get comboed or whatever. If you do this and you're never instant blocking 6H, it's still fine for Sin because he can do something like this now, and you're not really like playing around it, right? If I press this button at the same time, Sin will win here, right? He's plus, right? This is interesting, like to keep in mind, because you want to feel like he's pressured off of that, right? You either like, if you're really like willing, you can blitz it. You can obviously like super it as a fucking, oh my god, hitbox. Oh, I don't have 50 bar. You can super it. Backdash is kind of hard just because it's not like that big of a window. So like regularly like on instant block, it's a lot easier. On the 3H. It's kind of hard actually after 3H for Sin to stop you instant blocking, I'm pretty sure. But that's harder to like execute on command, recognizing it. But the idea is more like, even if I just block this, he's not plus anymore, right? So like this means that Sin is now like a little more worried, so he'll do this more, right? Because he's like, well, last time they mashed, so I would like to catch them mashing, I'm gonna do up front. So it's like, okay, well, then you wait it out. Technically, that's also still not a true block string, but I'm not trying to like incentivize you to gamble all the time. It's more just pointing out like these things are still not like, if you instant block this and backdash, he like still probably catches you, but like see, like he doesn't catch you. Like Sin has to start changing his offense a little bit to catch you now. But even if you say like just instant block and then do nothing, now it's like, cool, he just spent calories and all you did was instant block and then do nothing. Him spending the resource is important. It is what incentivizes him to like have to reset his offense more, because it's expensive to do that. I was telling you earlier, like look at the calorie gauge when you do this. Even if he hits you now, he can't really do a combo. What's up? Treble's talking about mashing, checking these situations. Yeah, the thing about these situations is that you need to like, you need to make sure that you're plus when you do it, right? And so like in theory, like Sin is the kind of character where he gets checked a lot because you'll do like instant block, and like you kind of forced him to spend resources, and he like didn't really need to, if that makes sense. Right? And like every time, like he's cranking your wrist bar, and that's good for him, but like at any point, like if he does something like this, for example, now it's like, look how expensive this string is for a character like Sin. Is it, oh my god. Oh my god, please. I'm on my hitbox. Look at how expensive this is. And like, there's kind of a reasoning behind it, right? So you instant block 6H, so he's not plus anymore, and he's minus close to you, right? So it's like, he's either going to DP immediately, maybe he's like, you know what, I can still L-Cunt frame trap, I'm going to L-Cunt, right? So he does, I'm going to L-Cunt, you IB L-Cunt. So it's like, I'm still minus. Well, I can check with DP, and that will help me if he mashes immediately. So you wait the DP out, and it's like, well, I blocked DP, now I have to Campbell to more. Boom, right? And so, like, do you see the chain of logic? The tricky part is, like, if you can't instant block Sin a little bit more consistently, he doesn't end up in these situations very much. But what ends up happening is, like, he is checking you. If you instant block and mash on, like, any of this shit, you will probably get caught. Like, you should get caught. But it's costing him the resource every time. And there's nothing that says, like, if you're really confident on some of these, like, you can still do things, like, with Blitz, as long as you know the gap is there. See? And you can read his offense. There's still always gaps here that you can abuse to some degree, right? Even if I did, like, block the DP and then backdash off the IB, right? Like, oh my god. I gotta time the... oh my god, the delay L-Cunt's fucking smoking me. There it is. And then you can backdash, etc. But the idea is kind of like, if you can weather the storm there versus Sin, a lot of the times he ends up not having a good way of, like, forcing more off of that, if that makes sense. Like, if you get to that point and he doesn't open you up on the very, like, next exchange, Sin has to reset his food. He has to. That's like how he works, right? That's the pressure that Sin is facing in a situation like this, right? It's easy to, like, not look at it from Sin's perspective, but, like, once he does this, he's like, dude, I need to eat. Or I need to hit you, one or the other, because if I get any hit as Sin, I will at least reset my calories, right? But the point is, like, you've already done your job a lot as the defender here, because even if he hits you, he doesn't have the calories to make it hurt anymore, right? One of the other things I was saying is, like, if you end up kind of stuck in a vortex of, like, this situation, so Beak Driver cranks, like, quite a bit of risk on a sequence like this. Because it hits, like, let's say you instant block L-Cunt. I think this hits twice if you IB. Oh, it only hits once. It's not even that bad. Actually, that's not that bad. I thought this hit twice. Right? So, like, situations like this, if you're, like, really, like, worried about it, I think once you block the L-Cunt, like, you can faultless defense, right? So, like, if I regularly block this, look at my risk. See? I'm at, like, a pretty decent amount, 30%. If I block L FD, block L FD, I'm at half of that, but it didn't cost me, like, that much bar, right? It's just block once, block twice, right? And it helps me reduce my risk bar. The idea is that with Sin, it's a lot about identifying, like, I think L-Cunt, for the most part, is always worth trying to instant block, because you want Sin to feel pressured out of this situation so that he doesn't just extend all the time. And he either has to use a resource or back off, right? One or the other. Sin can't really play around that situation without committing to one or the other. Right? Once you decide, like, oh, I didn't hit it or whatever's gonna happen, the faultless defense here is pretty nice because it will help you mitigate the risk crank that Beak Driver is gonna force, which is essentially the only benefit that Beak Driver is giving here. The big thing is, like, Sin doesn't actually feel better about you faultless defensing this string very much because he's minus anyway. Like, 2 frames of extra advantage does not mean shit for him, and the pushback isn't necessarily that much better. Like, even if I don't do anything here, like, none of my buttons really, like, reach in super meaningful ways, because, like, you can't really mash on this until, like, now, and it's like, this doesn't really hit anyway, right? So faultless defense block, faultless defense on a loop like that doesn't worsen my circumstances very much, but does help mitigate my risk crank, which is usually what gets people scared versus Sin. I already talked about the neutral a little bit, but I think where you're standing is fine. Just recognize that once Sin is kind of moving at you or actively doing things like this more, don't worry about hitting him, right? Because, like, this interaction is, like, pretty common for this matchup, where, like, you'll try to clip with K Misfinder and you'll just get got like this, and that there's, like, not really enough reason to try to do like S finer, K finer, P finer. Like, you can kind of just wait or stand further away from Sin so that this is less of a threatening option, right? At the end of the day, like, he can't reach you at this distance except for elk hunt, right? So you can just stand over here, and if it seems like he's gonna check you, then like you can backdash every now and then see like if he'll run into you. The hard part about, I think, this matchup is that he actually plays the mid-range for like equivalent or higher reward than you, which is not common. But it costs him a resource, and at the end of the day, you can wait the resource out, and you will out-resource him like via meter in the long run. A lot of it is just recognizing like this is good. Like, spamming this is good because if he wants to walk around and do nothing, this is your hey, don't do that option. Is like level 1 K finder spam. Is how you stop him from doing nothing, right? And then it's a push and pull. It's a push and pull, right? Once he's more receptive, use a little bit more backdash. Set yourself up probably around like this distance instead some more, because the only things you're worried about here are elk and leap. Those are the only two things. Sin doesn't really have like any other notable thing here. Is air dash won't reach you. Elk hunt still won't really reach you, but it'll clip you like mashing a button or something. So keep that in mind for neutral. I already said, like, once you're in this sort of loop, practice, by the way, like, if you go back, since you already have the string, you can look at the strings that somebody is doing to you, like, and copy them, like, in the recording. Like, just like, oh, he always does 2P, 2K, /2S, okay. Like, he tends to do it that way. And early on, I think it's easier, this is, like, general advice, to practice like just focusing on the important instant block. You can do this if you want, right? Like if you know the whole rhythm, but outside of increasing the rate at which I gain meter, which is valuable, it doesn't do anything. It really doesn't. People think it looks flashy because it's harder to do than just regular blocking, but mashing instant block is not that important necessarily. Like it's cool, you keep them closer and more minus, and that is good. But really, like, the thing that changes this situation a lot is this. Even if you blocked everything regularly and just I beat elk hunt, it would still be pretty good. Technically, I'm farther, right? Because, like, if you notice, like, 2K doesn't reach, but I bet if I instant block, like, everything it does. Let me see. Right, see? So, like, instant blocking everything does make a difference. But does that make sense? Like, the most important IB still is 5K. Or, sorry, not 5K, elk hunt. So you want to practice that. If you want a parlor trick, and I call them parlor tricks, it's like one-off. Like, it's not a strategy you can make the whole... You can't make a defensive game plan out of it, but, like, knowing this gap is helpful. You have to do it pretty preemptively, but knowing this timing is a good trick to slow Sins down early on in a set, too, a lot of the times. Like, just to show, like, no, you don't get to do it for free. I'm gonna wait and take my RPS. And they'll either play around it explicitly, they might get rid of that button in their offense some more, etc. Focus on that. Focus on similarly, like, if this is gonna happen, learn the timing for the 6H IB too, like that. And then generally speaking, you can basically decide whether you would often like to backdash, mash in place, or probably wait and like block it out with like faultless defense. And what I mean by that is like a situation like elk hunt is basically you IB like this. I'm gonna mash, I lose the DP. I IB or regular block, and then backdash, you can see it misses, you get a whole punish, right? Let's say he's gonna frame trap with something like beak driver, because you can still beak driver frame trap, but like, right, so I can still do like a little later like this. Right, so like if the defender sees this and presses a button, oh my god, you have to do this really late. This actually makes me realize like how fucking late. Actually, maybe he can't. I don't think he can get this actually. Oh, he can. It's just like a really hard timing to set on the recording. But so it's like, so he can get you like this too, right? Like this is also a frame trap. But the way that you beat this is like waiting. Because if you do this, let's say you instant block and you backdash instead. Oh my god, John. That doesn't usually happen, but let's say you backdash and you get clipped, like airborne. He still wins, right? So what you tell yourself is like, okay, I should have faultless defense, because he committed to... The weakness here is he used a resource, right? He used beak driver, and beak driver is bad up close. Like, the downside to this is once he does this, he almost certainly has to do something else. He has to leap and try to force that. He has to elk cancel again, etc., right? He has to spend bar. Whatever it is, he can't let you block Beak Driver and just recover here. It's way too minus for Sin. Look, he's still in the recovery of this move. Like, he barely recovered before I hit him. It's a very minus move. So he can't finish on that. Last thing I'll say is, I told you not to dead angle, and I know it's a panic response, but even if it feels like you're dying a lot, like a lot, don't dead angle, and there's like a specific reason I usually tell people. Instead, just gamble a little bit more in other spots or on defense. If a dead angle isn't hitting, or is hitting and then you get dead angled, that shit is not value. It is kind of like the war of attrition. The thing is Sin does not apply an immediate problem. Like, he does not mix you in his block strings. So it's okay to block him. And then once your wrist gets cranked, you're like, okay, cool. Like, now I'll take a guess or do whatever. And that's just kind of how he works. But he can't usually have his cake and eat it too. That's usually not how he works. But it's more about the fact that even if you waited and let's say like you're blocking it out and you get thrown, if I chose not to dead angle, I have 50 bar for wake up situations. And he is not a character with projectile Okazema. It's actually valuable to like wait around and not dead angle so that you can do things like this, right? If he's doing things like, oh, I'm gonna air dash so that it's not meaty so that I catch or whatever, just charge your blitz. It's fine. Like, just charge your blitz. It'll still work. If that makes sense. Like, this isn't like a foolproof solution. You just charge your blitz a smidge. Okay? And that doesn't work anymore. And now, like, Sin will be incentivized to, like, directly RPS with me more. Because a lot of people will like, including myself, will like this little delayed air dash type of thing that's good at catching backdash, good at catching tap blitz, pretty good at escaping certain reversals. But, like, you can just charge your blitz. And then it'll get you out of the situation. Does that make sense? This is why you can avoid dead angling. Is because, like, you can still introduce RPS like this instead. If the dead angle isn't working, you're just wasting meter where you could dead angle or where you could do super or something instead on wake up. And, like, see if he's gonna safe jump and backdash the safe jump. The idea is that having meter on wake up means that people kind of have to play, like, differently around you because they have to check certain options. And so it'll give you a little bit more breathing room, even if it doesn't feel like it. It's not necessarily more meter efficient. It's more like you're applying meter where it's actually going to present a problem for the opponent. Dead angle wasn't really presenting a problem for them. It was earning you your turn back in a matchup where your turn wasn't like doing enough for you. Where like realistically, one of the things you asked me was like, hey, I'm struggling on defense. How do I get better at defense? It's like, well, save your bar. Save your bar for like situations where you get to gamble more honestly with them. Right? And dead angle is great, but like getting a blitz is like potentially a lot more high reward. So you're like, yeah, fuck it. I might as well just go for it, right? Yeah, for like the same outcome, essentially. Potentially better. It's more about slowing it down. And the last thing I didn't cover, I don't really have time because I was pretty time inefficient on this, is like, shit like this is an optical illusion. So if you're getting hit by high JSs like this, you're standing too early. You can crouch these, like that. Right? Sin isn't supposed to be able to do this, but like a lot of people will panic because he's in the air and he's leaping at you and you want to anti-air him or whatever. And you block this so early, it like jails you into the J6H. But you can essentially tell yourself like, no, you always do that. I'm going to wait it out. Because Sin has to press that preemptively. He can't really wait and catch you crouching, see? So you just wait him out. The idea is you just have to wait kind of like an uncomfortable amount of time. But look at it from Sin's perspective. Do you really think Sin's going to do this? All like in that situation? Sin is almost certainly not going to do this. It's like way too risky to do this. Look how much dead time he leaves here before he presses the button. It doesn't seem like a lot, but in their head, they're worried about you doing like this. So they press the button later. Or sorry, they press the button earlier, right? That's why they don't want to do stuff like this, is because this is where the 6P works. The 6P is good versus the delay that would catch you crouching, right? But similarly, like if you're just like, say, holding up, like you would get out. If you were like mashing backdash, like right here, you would get out, essentially, right? But you were standing early a lot, see? So it's like if you just kind of wait around, he has to delay like that. Once he delays, you can introduce a different style of RPS, like 6P and stuff like that. You can also just blitz whenever it feels like they're probably going to finally do it. But generally, crouching here is like a lot better. See? The idea is like now he is losing to me going like, oh, he's in the air, I'm gonna 6p him. But like let's say he did like the other one, like this. And I'm like, oh, he's in the air, I'm gonna 6p him. Like if you don't react super fast, you're just cooked. If you react, say like right now, like this. Oh my god, Johnny's pretty good. Oh my god, maybe Johnny does just 6p. That's crazy. Maybe Johnny does just 6p. Maybe you do. You should try it out. Anyway, if you when in doubt, you should probably crouch. Does that make sense? Like versus leap. It's pretty chill. He's probably gonna start doing stuff like this to hit you. Is usually what a lot of Sin players do. They do this to hit you crouching early, but if they press this button this early, it doesn't combo anymore. Like if he does like this, and I mash like 5k, like even if he gets hit crouching, like it doesn't combo anymore. See? Early jump H doesn't actually like present a problem. Yeah, it seems like Johnny just has a good 6p for it. That 6p tends to get clipped depending on the character. I guess Johnny's is just good enough. But more importantly, like, even if he does something like this, understand, like, it'll clip you. So, like, let's say I wait and I get clipped like this. It doesn't lead to anything. He's either just gonna land and, like, go low or tick throw you, or do delay JD. Like, high hitting jump H from Sin is, like, not a big deal. You just kind of block it and then get ready for block it or get hit and get ready for the next situation. Does that make sense? It's a little funky because like it's weird to like process / like recognize it. Something you're always worried about? It doesn't lead to anything. So pay attention to what they're picking after you get hit by it, because it's never a combo unless they randomly Roman cancel it. And I don't know if that's like a thing that that people are doing. Damn, another instance of I'm in your chat. Don't worry, just say you're here. It's all right. Speak and be heard. All right, but yeah, hopefully that gives you a couple ideas. I haven't done VOD review in a while, so I was pretty bad on the time on that. But yeah, save your meter. Don't dead angle. Gamble on wake up instead, and try experimenting different ways on gambling. Nah, you're fine. It doesn't matter. The weird part is I think my OBS chat isn't working, because I usually type like this, even if I don't post it, to see if somebody's just here, and then I'll know that they're here too. This is the stuff that confirms your Sin friend wasn't lying. Yeah, they were in fact not lying. 2D miscancel we went over. Oh, I didn't talk about playing around DP on Oki, but I think you did a good job. Just if you're worried about DP, just like don't do the options that force you to block it, because that's what makes Sin's DP better. Talked about DP, waiting it out, leap, 6-8. Okay, cool, good enough. I think we covered everything. That is the gist of it. I think it's a tricky matchup because fighting Sin is about key moments, and if you can identify those key moments, then he doesn't present like Sin's whole thing is being able to do damage. Also, like I'll talk about it before we start the next one. His whole thing is like being able to do damage and play for like risk reward, but Johnny is the risk reward king. He just converts without bar once he has levels. He doesn't necessarily need it on defense that much because his backdash is so strong a lot of the times, alongside like just pressing a button. For this VOD review, by the way, you kind of rush to get VODs to reviews, so kind of just grab matches. That's fine. You're fine. It's called bi-weekly VOD review because it happens in 2 weeks every time. It's the same reason why, like, even when I get 1 or 0 or 2 or 10 responses, which never happens, I'm kind of chill about it because it's just like, well, I don't want people to feel like, oh no, Bread's once a 3-month VOD review is coming up. I need to have good footage. It's like, no, it's fine. Just pick whatever. It's fine. It was nice that you picked something short. A lot of people tend to pick very long sets, which is fine too. But I think people just just think I might watch all of it. I don't know. You didn't know about it? Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I have some discussions. no one had an answer for you. That's pretty funny. That's actually pretty funny that no one in the classroom had anything for you. Yeah, I'm like relatively low-key about VOD review because secretly I don't think that many people actually like want to hear things, be told them, and then do them. People just want to like complain about a thing, receive advice, and then continue to do the thing that they're doing. So like I also know even if I like shove my VOD review everywhere, I'm gonna get a lot of people that are like probably just pulling up to pull up, if that makes sense. So sometimes it's kind of nice that it's a little out of the ways to find, because most of the time only people that show up are the ones that are like, yeah, I'm actually like here for this. Yeah, we'll talk about some stuff. It looked like you're basically just looking for advice in general. It's like offense, neutral, and defense, which is the whole game. So we'll just key on key moments. I do think this is a really awkward matchup to apply offense in specifically, for both sides technically, but for Baiken for sure because of Hochifu. Yeah. Getting card. Here, you do want to lean towards moving towards her. If she is getting these and she's presenting it as a thing that she just wants to do in neutral, take space slowly. You don't have to run at her, but realize that you need to start moving at her. The reason you don't run at her is because once you're full screen, she's gonna get the card. It doesn't matter. You're pretty mad late in the set, I see. Yeah. This is a little too far. It's good recognition. Here you can hold space. It's a good idea. Air dash back to Tommy is never a bad idea. Not a lot of bar. Yeah, it's hard to keep your block string safe as Baiken. Yeah, I'll keep watching. Because I was going to say, when you recognize that you doesn't feel like your offense is worth applying anymore as Baiken, I usually run away instead. She has a lot of jump cancelable buttons, and you can still run away while protecting yourself. One thing I have noticed is air dash back to Tommy is a lot about how you play around it, and like position after you do it. Let me write that down so we'll talk about it. You know what I have now too, actually, that I don't like really use? Let me see. I did fix it actually, funny enough. I just remembered. Because I paused and I was like, wouldn't it be nice if I had whiteboard? And I was like, wait, I fixed whiteboard. It does work. This tool is really strong, and it all revolves around the fact that like this entire space. Oh, whoops. Oh my god, did I do this backwards? Oh no, I know what happened. That's funny. I was tabbed into the wrong thing. Holy shit. I mixed myself. The whiteboard is open on a different screen. This option is good because this whole set, like, even it's gonna splat like this far. All of that shit is like cut off. They cannot run into this space. They just can't. Which means a lot of the times you can position more forward into that space because Tatami's not gonna hit you, right? So a lot of playing around air dash back to Tommy is actually kind of like moving into it like a shield, almost. That's gonna protect Baiken so that she can gauge whether or not they're approaching at her, which is usually all she cares about. But like the reason I say it is like a lot of tatami and like air tatami, you're very good at utilizing air tatami and like at getting it out, like doing this, but you're a little too like stagnant after you put it out. Like your positioning isn't rewarding you enough. And we'll talk about, like, I'll show examples of it. Nice. Should knock down, miss jump cancel. Air dash back, yeah. This is also a matchup that is hard to reversal Azami in. Milk doesn't do it, but there is an option select that essentially beats like most of the relevant follow-ups for jam on Oki. And so it is hard to just like, this is a matchup I don't Azami on wake up like that frequently. I still do it like as much as you might think you need to, but it's way harder to use in general versus jam compared to other people. Bari, yeah. And this is why I say like applying offense in this matchup is a little tricky, because a lot of it is recognizing that like all you do is dispense mids, and she has a parry for that. And a lot of it is about, we'll talk about it, but it's about staggering the rhythm at which you apply offense, or honestly just introducing Suzuran throw. If Hochifu is presenting a lot of problems for you on your offense, a lot of the times Suzuran throw is good, and we'll show that after this. Should knock down, unless he doesn't want it to. I will also say, I'll actually put it in the notepad, because you've teched instantly almost every time. And delaying your tech in this game, while really unintuitive as a concept, is actually very strong and a pretty core concept in the game. Nice. Good catch on Kabari. A little early on the throw because he got hit. That's unlucky. This is too high, yeah. Honestly, like here, yeah, I was gonna say you can just go back to Tatami spamming a little bit. There's also kind of a lack of like instant air dash forward JS, though it's not great in this matchup. I've noticed that you don't really have anything in your like neutral toolkit so far for moving forward. You only have it for moving back, and the issue with moving back is eventually people don't want to chase Baiken if they have the life lead, because she doesn't really have anything to incentivize it. If they have the life lead, Tatami zoning doesn't really do anything for Baiken anymore, right? And there are sort of like ways in which you want to move forward. That's good. Knockdown. Tatami isn't really real, like, after the Soki. Like, no matter how you do it. You have to do the super fancy Maruken type Oki, and even on Jam, it wouldn't really be worth much. You've been learning ways in plus R, but they don't really seem to correlate. She is not like plus R, like, very much, in my opinion. The only things that she has similar, I think, is, like, she's got pretty good, like, air buttons and the way she controls space, from what I've seen. But plus R Baiken is way too strong to be anything like Xerker Baiken. Guard cancel is so overtuned on average in like a lot of the matchups I've seen Baiken and plus R in, that she doesn't have to like internalize as many other concepts of the game as early as you would like on other characters. And this version of Baiken is a little better at forcing you to like look at the screen compared to the other one. So I think it's just like that's kind of the vibe anytime I look at the comparison between those two. That was good. That was good to Tommy, or like air dash forward to Tommy. There you go. Suzuran is kind of like a bait. I think Suzuran in neutral is like a good starting point, is the way I would put it. But it has like a really big commitment behind it in terms of like what Baiken could do. Look at Zami. Again, Zamiing versus Jam is scary. I don't like making my whole game plan. You could probably push her out more, is the thing I would recommend. Faultless defensing. Jam is generally pretty good in the sense that, not that it wins versus her offense, but that it immediately makes Jam have to decide how she will get back on top of you. Whether it is Bakusho, the slide into her puffballs, or whether it is like instant air dashing at you a lot of the times, or 6Hing. She will have to figure out how she is getting back on top of you, and so like pushing her out like in these moments is like pretty big. Oh, you're gonna get destroyed, right? Oh, never mind, it's too far. We get the clash. If he's a little closer, it'll hit before the hitbox is active. But the travel time got him. Hold space. Don't be afraid to use 6P, by the way. This is like drive-by advice, but like when people are teching into you, you have a pretty good anti-air. Baiken 6P is actually pretty good because she's so short. This is higher reward, obviously, if you hit Kabari, but you're in a dedicated animation for way longer. So like, you essentially end up blocking here because of Kabari and Tsutetsu Zansen. Where like 6P, you probably would have whiffed and just like moved out of that situation before it happened. Like here, you could 6P. Like you won't get a you got an ad. It's fucking funny. I should add a 7TV emote for ads. That would be pretty funny. I wish I could just like remove that as a thing from my channel. I don't think you can affiliate yourself from Twitch. And I think they run more ads for affiliates than like regular streams. I could be wrong. You're back. Now you're fine. It's good that you told me. I was just saying here on tech scramble situations, like where they're gonna tech, you can also just space your 6p. 30 seconds. Yeah, they're usually not long. I don't run ads. If I could remove them, I would. Yashigatana is pretty solid. Yashigatana is good at like making people think they have to run at you and like kind of nothing else. But it does that. It gets people to run at you, and usually you play for that. Yeah. Here you can, if you're like fast enough, you can still sometimes like 2k this, but the punish is kind of bad anyway. Sometimes if I am being a monkey too, like I want to just like gamble with them, as soon as I see the green flash, I Azami, like, and I just eat that hit. But that's more like just like a cheeky thing if you ever want to do it. That's by no means like a consistent thing that you should try to do. Dead as fuck. Should be like one more is my guess. Yeah. Use it on throw. Go back ignition. Yeah, there is a lot of Baiken's pretty good on the ground, especially like in a matchup like this where Kabari will own a lot of space. But one of the things we'll talk about that you haven't really done much. Also, all these situations of like when you're blocking. I think it happens like right here. Now you skip clipped again. Like all these situations, once you block jam, a lot of it should feel like you just want to push her out. Azami is I mean, you play plus R, so maybe that's like part of the reason why. Like you might play Xerker and think like it's time to Azami, and it's like not really. Azami is like not as present as a concept defensively for Baiken as you might think. It's good and it is timeless, but Azami is like rarely ever my defensive game plan versus anybody. The only reason I mention it is like if you don't know what to do, it's probably better to push people out than try to Azami the world. Yeah, I mean you have to test the waters for sure. I think jam it is hard to Azami. Good timing. Yeah, I think she can wire see the follow up. Knockdown. This tatami loses to DPA Hoshifu. You have to be like kind of careful doing this. I tend to stray away from that tatami a lot because it loses to DP and Hochifu, and sometimes I will just neutral jump into doing the mix-up myself because at least I can play around Hochifu if I do the mix-up. And I would get hit by DP anyway if I did tatami. So it doesn't really make a difference to be like, oh, but if I do like a low or a high and they DP, I just die. But be careful doing like tatami after Roken Sogi. It loses to like blitz, super, DP, it loses to reversals. She's in recovery when she lands next to them. It's just a lot of the time she's too far for it to matter for other Okazeme, but not there. Good pickup. Yeah, that interaction is why Kabari is hard to use as like a one trick to do it all type of option. It's like one good air dash just puts you here. Good positioning from his end. Defensively, once people do, we'll talk about it. Talk about a couple defensive concepts. Because I've talked to other Baikens about this before. Let me see. Where's my notepad? Why is this like... Hold on, I gotta close this like... Oh, I see you. Oh, ew, it's like... I had it as a full screen monitor capture. Whoa. Sorry, the whiteboard is making this like mad weird. Because it's like, ugh. Hold on. Why is it like this? Yeah, we're good. It basically, one of my 3 monitors is capturing another monitor, and it makes this look super weird. There we go. We're good. It's very hard to like visually recognize when you're using whiteboard as you're using it. That's like an OBS thing. We'll talk about fighting out of the corner a little bit. It's kind of like a central concept for Baiken, and you're already good at IDing back into a tatami, which is like the only real requirement. But the idea is essentially like when people are holding space like this versus you, it is because they're almost certainly waiting for the escape like this. But once somebody has committed to this, a lot of the times all you really need to do is like jump back or commit to it immediately and air dash back into tatami, because they will not react in time to like punish it a lot of the times for most people. And you will get tatami out and it will actually like get you your turn back. I'll show it in training mode in a second because it's like a visual thing. Up Kabari's good awareness. Kita tatame. You also don't, yeah, you've done it like once or twice. It worked out here, but you actually don't need to do the follow-up here. The Okazeme is solid to do like Kita tatame into Kabari because it outspaces like pretty much all of Jam's immediate reversal options. But the Kabari will oftentimes, as long as you did it correctly, yank them close enough that you don't need to do the heavy slash follow-up. You can usually just, what's it called? You can oftentimes just 5k and link and get something much safer because you don't want to autopilot that follow-up. It's bad on block. It's really good because the fact that she can get knockdowns off of a poke is pretty crazy. Only the best characters can do it. Usually like 5H after when they stagger. 5H is not a combo technically, unless it counter hits. Which like in this context, like it should counter hit, but technically you could hit them regularly, in which case you would not want to press 5H technically. But I mean, yeah, like most people don't mash out fast enough, so it's usually fine. But 5k links into the stagger. In other words, like it's a combo. Like the CPU is set to mash as fast as possible, right? Quick as possible. So like if you did something, yeah, no, that's what I mean. I kind of figured you didn't know. Yeah, you don't have to do that. That's why this move is so good. 5k is just the link. If you do this and they're close enough that 5k connects, the stagger just combos. And like this is one of Baiken's strongest attributes off Kabari. I figured that you just didn't know. I didn't. It wasn't one of those like, why would you do this? I was like, there's no way that you know this is an option and are like not doing it. But yeah, that Okazeme is solid. But in general, after you press Kabari, press 5k more. It's kind of just an easy autopilot, right? Even if she doesn't get hit, like I would still be plus anyway. Respecting your intellect, it's more just based on how well you were performing around other things. It's a pretty safe assumption that you just didn't know, right? But I'm plus there, so like it doesn't really matter if they block it and I press like 5k because I didn't realize. Ideally, you only press 5k on hit. Like, you don't actually really want to do this if they block it, because 2k is a little better. You'd rather introduce a low if you had the option after, like, for the frame advantage like this. And the stagger is, like, pretty good. Like, she's in this move for, like, a minute. So, it's, like, pretty feasible to play around it. But yeah, you should do that for the Oki. You spend a lot of time doing this, which is very solid. So there's a couple things to keep in mind. There's different styles of instant air dash back to Tommy. You don't have to worry about it too much because it usually doesn't come up very frequently. But if I do say this, it's still air dash back to Tommy, but like let's say I air dash forward in JH. Do you see how it still hits her? If I did this, it doesn't. Okay? These tatamis are not equal. They serve different purposes. This one is like less common, and the idea is that you tatami later in your air dash, and so she falls as she places it out. It's the style of tatami that she does when she does Okazeme like this, basically, where it's a lot more oriented towards setting up the splash directly in front of Baiken for like Oki. That's usually why she's doing that. it doesn't matter too much. I more so just mention it so that you know, like, technically air dash back to Tommy has levels to it. So when I'm kind of hovering around people, I will frequently pick this kind of like flopping in front of me one. Because what ends up happening is, like, I will approach them like this. I will, like, flop it in front of me, and the whole space in front of Baiken is all hitbox. She can't stick a button out into that tatami, so I can essentially run up all the way into my poke range, and they, like, can't press a button, right? That's true for, like, most matchups. Obviously, Jam has, like, Hochifu, so, like, you have to be careful about that. But a lot of the times, the way I start to sneak in advantage versus people is they can't tell the difference between these two. Which is, like, understandable. Why would you know this about another character if you didn't play them? But when I'm hovering towards people with the intention of, like, being a little more aggressive, I pick my tatamis a little later in the air dash, and it will flop them on top of people, kind of like that, so that I get offense. If I did them like this, I wouldn't be able to do it, right? See how far I am? I can't really confidently run up because, like, same situation, I'm just jumping forward, right? I'm doing dash jump forward, and on one of these, I'm doing, like, a flop like this. And I run up, and it's, like, pretty safe, see? But if I do this, and I do the far one, yeah, oh my god, hitbox. Ugh. It's too far to, like, do anything with. Even if they block it, like, they would be out of block stun when I'm, like, here as Baiken, which is not useful. None of my pokes reach. So they will almost certainly just escape. But yeah, the idea is, one, there's, like, kind of different styles of tatami. The one you're doing is fine. Most of the time, anytime you end up in a range kind of like this, it's not really great for you as Baiken. So if they'll let you get away with it, instant air dash back to Tommy is a pretty brain dead solution that you just kind of stick it into that spot, like, all the time as Baiken. It's amazing in the sense that it's basically uncontestable if they wait for it. If somebody waits for you to actually do it and then runs forward, they will always run into tatami. If they go over it, you are actionable and fully in position to, like, zone them, right? So a level 1 strat is often sort of, like, backing off and buffering the one direction they want to get around it, right? I'll reverse the rules so we can look at recordings of it. But the idea is, some people tend to just run at you, and a lot of the times it's about just sticking tatami out and then kind of, like, doing something that looks like this behind it. So, like, you do something like this, right? The idea is, like, if she moves forward like this, I'm already moving forward. I will a lot of the times see that she got clipped and press 2K and then scrape together a knockdown. I'll probably do 2K close slash Rokon Sogi and get a free knockdown, right? And this is, like, hard to play around because, see, like, she can't move forward and press a button. But you notice I move into the tatami. I don't, like, hang out farther because otherwise I won't get anything off of it. They'll just get hit. And people, like, want to move at it because they're like, oh, dang, like, I don't want this Baiken to get away for free. She's minus, right? It's a very reasonable thing to think. But moving into it is what kind of sets me up here versus if I was to do a lot of, like, what you were doing in the set, which is, like, something like this into, like, nothing. Even if she gets hit, for example, like this, do it, like, more like this. You're, like, a mile away, right? So it doesn't really mean anything to you if you get that hit as Baiken. A lot of the times after air dash back to Tommy, dashing, like, a smidge forward is pretty good because you've already done the hard part. Once Tatami is out, you're probably not going to get clipped by anything anyway. So you kind of just take the space behind it, and it looks kind of like this. You'll see me do this sequence a lot with Baiken. That little extra space is pretty valuable for a character like her because her knockdowns are relatively finicky and do want her to be close to people. If she is a little farther, the Rokon Sogi will not knock down, right? And the idea is a lot of people will get kind of caught in this loop of, like, they want to run forward and they're either getting clipped by Tatami and you're extending your turn, or they're waiting outside the range of Tatami, and so you set to this distance as Baiken. And I already kind of said, like, you don't really like this distance as Baiken, so you do it again, right? It sounds silly because it is silly, but it's very strong. You can just do it again, or you can wait to see if they will chase you, right? One of the added benefits of being good at running away is that you don't always have to run away. So if somebody is doing something like this to chase your air dash back because they're like, well, I don't want him to get this for free, you can just crouch and wait in place in the same spacing. Sometimes I just wait, and it's because people have to worry about air dash back to Tommy, or air dash back to Tommy, right? The way I look at it is generally speaking, at like higher levels, it's usually just dictated by like if you can execute, right? In other words, like if you can rip Kita Tatame like this, like on command relatively frequently, and you're like pretty consistent at it. The neutral game for Baiken is really oriented around making Tatami do most of the work. And what I mean by that is like anytime you're kind of uncomfortable, it often is run away and do this and see what happens, or wait, see if they chase you. Until they get sick of running into Tatami. Which is eventually what will happen, and they will just stand over here, or if your character like Jam, you'll do stuff like this, right? Characters do have options full screen that will punish you for like always doing this, and Tatami won't be enough to punish them once they do run at you, right? So like, Leo's a bad matchup, sure, but like Leo can get his big projectile, Chip can turn invisible, Jam can get cards, Jacko will set houses, Elfo has sniper, right? Like, all these characters will usually have something, right? Soul doesn't have anything, Kai will zone you, Mei can set Beach Ball and Dolphins, Milia can technically set Secret Garden if she wants, Zato will send Eddie to go fight you, Potemkin's bad for other reasons, Chip will turn invisible, Fossil will throw items, Axel will just move a little forward and then wait for you to do stuff. Venom will get balls, Slayer will build bar, Eno will put note out, Batman will zone you, Ram will send swords out. Sin actually doesn't really have it. Oh, Sin can eat, actually. Sin can eat. Alpha Sniper, Leo, big projectile. Johnny will probably build bar if he just waits you out. Jacko's houses, Jam is cards, Koom is red ball. Raven is stance most of the time, but maybe they'll get like a couple needles out there. Dizzy sets up her entire army. And then does that make sense? Like Answer will get scrolls. All of these characters have something that like they can just do if you're gonna just do this all day. Alright, like if you don't have the life lead, then people don't have to fight you, period. And more importantly, like people can choose, like if I'm a jam player and you never want to fight me in neutral because like that's always your autopilot, I'll back away and get cards so that when I do fight you, now I'm like fully kitted. If you get hit, it's gonna hurt and I'm gonna have plenty of like potential mix-ups and options, right? So they essentially like either directly or indirectly punish you for giving up space all the time and hoping you run into them. The solution is to learn how to do like a lot more hanging out in this range as Baiken, and she's got a really good air-to-air like this. So this button is pretty brawlic because a lot of the times as Baiken, you essentially just press JP. Like you do jump forward JPs like this. If it hits, a lot of the times you will have the time to hit confirm it into jump S, JD, and nail a knockdown, right? If it doesn't hit, you just recover and air dash back into Tatami. Like that, see? And the idea is you want to pick a style of Tatami. If I'm fighting somebody that is still like kind of running at me and I miss my air to air, I don't want to pick the one that leaves me closer. I'm going to do the one that leaves me like farther, like that, see? The idea is basically like if people are going to fuck with you, then you want to actually be really far because they will run into Tatami. So you do air dash Tatami input very, very quickly. Very, very quickly, and it will give you extra distance because she kind of hangs out in the air longer during the animation. If they are being respectful still, then you do something kind of like the slower Tatami style. You air dash back and you plop it as you're landing. Now you have a really strong approach to run forward and press like 2K poke with, right? You get to play that game a lot with Baiken versus anybody that just wants to hang out on the ground. A lot of people will fall for this problem where they'll see you jumping in an angle that is conventionally like anti-airable, right? So hanging out in this distance, like most characters just gotta hold that. Like you just have to fall or air dash back into nothing, right? The key is like air dash back into nothing is the thing that most other characters do. If I'm fighting Baiken and she does this, and I'm like, let me get myself like, there we go, better positioned, like this, and I6P, the Tatami is gonna splat out, right? And so a lot of characters will stick their anti-air out, like going like this, and then Tatami will come out and like you can't stick a button out after, right? If I was like, I'm gonna stick a button out, or the spacing is wrong or whatever, see, like now you get punished for trying to anti-air, right? She essentially punishes you for like trying to interact with her. Air approaches to the point where like you return back into the original problem of like, well shit, like I have to interact with Baiken again, right? I have to try to air her, I have to do etc, right? You have things like Escabari. In general, if you're doing something like this is also pretty good versus people that are like, he's plus, but he's not like that plus. So they'll like block this and then they'll mash in place. Oh my god, full disjoint. Let me pick a not disjointed option. Like this. See, and they'll get counter hit, and then you can actually just like do Rokonsogi knockdown potentially, or if you're close enough, you can get a better confirm, right? That a lot of it is learning to position better with your tatamis. You also never do, and this is good for most other matchups, is to just instant air dash and then buffer tatami behind it. This shit is old reliable. I still use this all the time. Like, I rarely go a single game without doing this. It is a super strong option. Most people will react to you air dashing at them, like, and stand, because that's a pretty reasonable thing to do a lot of the times. And so they'll kind of unknowingly like put themselves in this situation where it's like boom, boom, and now you're super plus, right? This has an apparent weakness where you just, can you ask about this input? Do you need a super jump in order to work properly? Nope. None of this tatami zoning involves any super jumping. It's all just normal. It's all based on the timing. If you want a good metric for understanding how it works, it's based on the speed at which you input it. So like if you want to see it, oh, no, it's just regular. No, you're just regular. It doesn't matter. Her two, like, Super Jump IAD and, IADJS are essentially the same thing. They don't, these are the same. Like, I can do both, right? So, this is Super Jump IAD, like that. This is regular Jump IAD. It doesn't make a difference. It really doesn't. I guess Super Jump IAD would be, like, a little bit faster, but it's not worth messing it up because it's not so important to hit the Super Jump, really. Try to do that and you would not get tatami out. You're probably just too slow on the tatami cancel. These are all regular, like pretty much the moment tatami connects. Jump S connects, I am already like, because there's nothing else I'm doing here is the way I would put it. I'm banking on this hitting into the tatami. Like at certain distances, you won't combo anyway into any Baiken button. So you don't worry about no, it's not because she's too low. Her heights are the same. Super jump instant air dash doesn't really change her height at all. You're just a little slow on it. Like if I was a little slow and recognized the situation, it would look probably like this. See? Like, oh, I hit him. Let me tatami cancel. But if you do it, if you fireball right when jump S hits, you should just get this almost always. The downside, by the way, I'll always warn people, the downside is that this is not a true block string. Certain characters will either have unique character-specific mechanics, or universally everybody can blitz you. Closer ranges like this, a lot of characters can throw you out of it. This is not a gapless string, but it is very strong because nobody is reacting to this situation that fast. I play a lot of Xerker online, I play a lot of Baiken, and nobody really understands this situation well enough to abuse it consistently. Right, you can also crouch under this and punish it as the defender, right? So like, you don't want to get too crazy. Granted, if they crouch and you're obsessed with forcing RPS 24/7, you can also just immediately IADJH and it will hit them for crouching. I don't do this too much. I'm not a big fan of it in the sense that like you just go back to being like super anti-airable by like a million things. See, like a lot of things that aren't even supposed to be anti-airs will like frequently just hit you. So I don't do it, but you can. But you need to work on one, like when you do your air dash back tatamis, doing a little bit more like positioning in front of them. And you need to do more moving forward. I would start with IADJS tatami, work on it in training mode and see if you can get the special cancel fast enough off the IAD, and then go from there because it'll give you a lot of free pressure and a lot of free respect. Once people respect it, then yeah, you can start to approach a little slower by just dash jumping at them like this. Dash jumping is a mix of you're either kind of landing into them with a relatively spaced jump S like this, so that it's harder to anti-air, or you are feinting the approach into tatami like this. And as long as they stay on the ground all the time, it is really obnoxious to play around this, because tatami will punish you for wanting to interact with this sort of like jump into you approach style like this. Right? But does that give you maybe like a better idea of how specifically these tools are supposed to be used? It basically boils down to like, If I'm trying to force stuff, you do a late tatami. Like, sorry, I didn't show it, but, where is it at? Player 2. What? Oh, wait, I gotta, like, do it like this, right? What? I'm still considered player 1? Even when I'm recording? Interesting. Okay. If you look closely, like, the input, it's, like, hard to see, but the idea is essentially, like, you just kind of, like, spam this as fast as possible. The fastest possible air dash back into immediate tatami input is how you get far tatamis. And then the other ones, you just do it a smidge slower. The other ones are hard to do off of instant air dash. But that's okay, because you don't usually do them off of instant air dash. You do them kind of like this, right? But there's like a slower rhythm where you want her to tatami on the descent of the jump like this, right? But if you really don't want to commit for whatever reason, you can still do a fast tatami cancel, and you'll build that extra pushback distance on the air dash, and it will be ultimately safer at resetting Baiken's positioning than something like this. That is like the nuance of like utilizing tatami really well with her and like how you control space. The other thing I was gonna say is if you are getting pressured out of corner situations by somebody holding space versus you, in other words, Baiken has no real super jump, so if she tries to do this, it doesn't work, right? She doesn't really go high, and she just ends up in throw range every time for air throws. What ends up happening is, a lot of times when people give you this much respect, you can oftentimes like kind of jump at them and do this out of the corner. Because how are you going to pressure Baiken now? Tatami is out, and I'm already crouching. If you move forward, you're gonna run into that. So what ends up happening is like you kind of fight out of the corner as Baiken. You'll a lot of the times, depending on how much respect they're giving you, like sometimes I will like jump forward and immediately like air dash back to tatami. The tatami is there to stop them from running at me, and I will kabari behind it. And now I'm essentially fighting out of the corner, right? It's really scary because Baiken kind of has to fight out of the corner, which is not a concept that's like a thing people want to do. It's really hard to do this consistently all the time, but she kind of has no choice. A lot of it is using stuff like air dash back to Tommy immediately is also really good at like people that just stand in a range like this, where they want you to like jump and then they run up in anti-air. Because it's hard to do that on reaction to something as fast as like, oh my god, like this, there we go. So like if I'm standing here and I'm like, he's gonna jump, I'm gonna anti-air it. That's not gonna work versus Tommy. They have to be preemptive in a way that would mean that they're not waiting for your jumps anymore, if that makes sense. Like, this still loses to stuff like this. And in fact, like, you can get a pretty fat counter hit, I think, if you could like do it right. Yeah. Right? But as soon as somebody starts pushing you out and giving you a little too much space and waiting for you to like just do this, because a lot of Baikens just do this, a real sudden IAD back to Tommy, if you commit to it, will give you a splash that is your turn now. Right? And even further out, it's not a big deal. Even if Tatami's splash won't hit, it usually means that a Kabari is now safer to get out, right? Tatamis in general, by the way, are good at protecting the startup of moves like this, right? The idea is like, if you're just gonna wait around all day, I'm gonna do like Kabari like this more. To the point where people will think they want to do this, right? Like, oh, he always does Kabari after I want to get this. And so you introduce the very natural mind game, which is like, I will just Escabari instead, right? That's why I usually pick Escabari a lot after air dash back to Tommy until people don't want to jump at me. Because it's a really good way at like punishing people for understanding that you've been safely poking behind the tatami on the ground. And so they're like, well, I'll just go over your ground poke, right? But that's how you use that. Other than that, I would say most of it looked fine. Like I said, applying offense looked simple. It looked like you had a pretty good idea. I would say you could probably stand to do more Kabari resets. Kabari resets are pretty great. If you're struggling in general with Jam's parry mechanic, like under pressure, a lot of the times you can do something like this immediately, wherever. So like, let's say they're always... let's say you do like close slash 2H and they always Hochifu after it because they always want to catch the tatami. A lot of the times, like, the timing is such that like you'll just win the exchange. How do you create strike throw from beyond Suzerain throw. Well, you have to end up in strike throw range. A lot of it is just oriented around 6k. 6k is built around strike throw. The Baiken 6k in this game is very good. Like infinitely, it's so much better than plus R that when I tried out Baiken a smidge in plus R, 6k felt kind of useless compared to this one. And that's saying a lot because that button's not necessarily bad. But Baiken 6k in this game is pretty brawlic. It's +2 on natural block. It moves her forward. It staggers on counter hit into 5k link, which is also very important to know. So if you're playing strike throw, I'll show a couple things. So Baiken's jab and 2k have natural gaps on them. 2k 6k and 5p 6k, if I'm not mistaken, are natural 3-frame gaps. So what ends up happening is if somebody is immediately mashing, a lot of the times you will just catch it if you just do 2k 6h, right? If you do this links into 5k on counter hit. So you don't really have to worry about like actually hit confirming the counter hit. You can kind of just wait around for it to happen like this and get a knockdown, right? This also counter hit 6Ks also combo into Kabari, and Kabari links into 5k, so you can also just do this and still get a knockdown. Right? You aren't creating real tech throws? You're confused on that, how that works? That's kind of sick. It's really like easy to just mash this shit out and go like, sweet, I got a counter hit earlier. Or confirm earlier, right? The reason, by the way, that you wouldn't necessarily always do this is like 6k into Kabari will be an obvious gap if they always wait and know that you do it. That would be the reason that you don't do it. Also, you're really minus, or not really minus, you're minus if they instant block both of those too. But that's a good way to start. 6k is a really good button at scaring the shit out of people. It just is plus, leads you to set up potential frame traps. It's minus if they instant block it, but it's pretty hard to get the instant block consistently for a lot of people. And if they instant block it, a lot of times you can try to react and do immediate tatami and still frame trap. But it's usually around 6k. 6k is what will enable you to more greedily like set stuff up sometimes, if that makes sense. Like this. Right, like somebody sees it's plus, so you just run up and throw, right? Or you can do 2k staggers now, right? Because at any point I could 6k like this, and it's not a comfortable gap, and it's special cancelable. You can even do 6k Suzerain throw, right? Baiken is a lot about the rhythm of her strings, is like, and I find it's funny because I think a lot of people find her really unintuitive to play because of that when they first start on her, compared to like other characters, because she's like button frame trap, confirm situation button frame trap, like. She does a lot of that in her offense. And strike throws is pretty much just that. It's also really easy to forget in a lot of matchups where they don't have like an anti-air on reaction. Mid pressure off of like something like far slash or 2D, an IADJH is very obnoxious to deal with. It is very strong. It's an attack level. It's a level 4 attack normal, which means if they regularly block this, you can almost certainly just land and 2k or 6k depending on what you think they'll do. But this is also a situation where you will oftentimes end up close enough to force strike throw again. The hard part with Baiken is staying close enough to force strike throw, and a lot of it is either using resources to set it up again like this, or getting a little greedy off of redashes like this, right? Two really important reset spots in her pressure are 5k, because it doesn't have much like hit stop on it, and so even though it's -2, it's really scary to press into. It also has 2H as a Gatling, which will have a natural gap to catch mashers if they start to mash on the stagger, and you will still be able to bail yourself out by doing like 2H into like Tommy YRC for full safety, or 2H into Kabari. Right? Baiken has a lot of little nuances to her pressure. I wouldn't worry about it too much at the beginning. I genuinely think at the beginning, if you're solid at just staggering off of Kabari and doing Suzerain throw, that's like all you need. I don't actually tick throw that much. In all honesty, I don't. Like, if you go watch my matches, I think most of my throws are actually just Suzerain throw. I actually don't tick throw very much. It's a lot scarier to tick throw than it is to Suzerain throw. If you just are good at setting up Suzerain throw is goated, man. It's like getting a throw, but with way less risk. Because people learn to interact with strike throw is the problem, right? Like, it doesn't matter if I understand how my options rotate here. Eventually, I'm going to try to throw, and they're going to jump or mash, and they're going to be right, if that makes sense. I actually avoid strike throw a lot of the times because I think it's a lot easier for people to guess correctly there versus me than to understand that I'm going to try to either set up a stagger here like this, or that I'm going to try to set or pressure reset up, or that I'm going to like spend resources eventually, right? Baiken advice is weird. I mentioned it last time. This is like the last thing I'll say because we're pretty much through the VOD review. But this VOD reviews are not like I'm gonna fix everything for you, but you get the idea. You have like 4 or 5 like notable things to work on. But a lot of the idea with Baiken is understanding she is not really. No, you're fine. That's not a big deal. If anything, you're very fortunate that VOD review just only had 2 submissions. Normally, they have to be 40 minutes if somebody has a time slot after you. So you just get cut off. But there was only 2 submissions today, so it's like, alright, whatever. Like, I was probably just going to play anyway, so. But what I was going to say is just remember that, like, things like Suzudon, what's it called? Zami and Yozansen are very strong tools and are what makes Baiken ultimately a much better character than other people. She's got like way more potential for shit than other people because of those tools, but they are by no means like her game plan. They're just like icing on the cake. You don't actually use these that much. This option doesn't exist until you hit 50 bar. Like, until you hit a 50 bar threshold, you don't really even Yozansen as Baiken. So, like, for as amazing as this tool is, it's really just an instant overhead. I don't want to make it sound like downplay, but the point is more like, you have to, 1, get to 50 bar, and 2, you have to win a 50-50. Like, in some ways, I think Yozansen is not hard to use, but direct in the sense that if somebody guesses right, I mean, that's it, man. They guess right. You gotta hold that. It's not the same as, like, blocking Grinder Oki, where, like, it's just kind of hard to get that guess sometimes, depending on how they set mix-ups up, right? Like, it's a straightforward mix-up, but Yozansen is overstated in terms of being her game plan. Like, I didn't see much Yozansen in your offense, so, like, you could try to do more when you have 50 bar, but Yozansen is really overstated. It's just an instant overhead. Azami is a phenomenal tool, but most people do not know where or how to use Azami, so it doesn't really matter, and it just comes with a counter hit state that kills Baiken faster. Baiken is oriented around playing around Tatami, Kabari, and her good frame advantage, and essentially like playing around a relatively defensive game plan, oriented around like deceiving you into wanting to interact with her, so that she can throw things like this at you, which have no hurtbox, confirmants, and knockdowns. And then she's buying time to build the resource so that she can do her like, finally, like, Yozansen RC, basically. But that's why, like, similarly, even though she can combo off of her throw and it's really good, I don't actually tick throw that much. You can tick throw, but by no means is it my game plan as Baiken. Most of the time I actually push people out. It's pretty rare I tick throw people. Throwing is a commitment, and Xerker is filled with enough knowledge checks in the neutral defense and offense game that you don't really need to give your opponent an opportunity that's straightforward like that, is how I think of it. So I avoid situations like that, if I can help it, right? Once you fight strong players, there's no point anymore and like pretending that you're gonna knowledge gap them. So you go back to doing like, yeah, I'm just gonna commit to strike throw. You're back to playing fighting games, basically. You just make your decisions. But yeah, that's pretty much it. That's probably gonna give you a strong basis. Mostly focus on instant air dash, jump S. When you do your ID back to Tommy's, learn to move forward after them. Learn how to mix in between a standard like jumping at them approach with something like jump S. Remember to stick your JP out all the time on rising jumps like this, whether forwards or backwards. It's basically never a bad idea because you will always recover by the peak of your jump anyway. And if they start to play around the obvious, like, I can anti-air this, take the space, air dash back, and plant Tatami right in front of yourself like that. And then utilize Kabaris to help you pull them in. And remember, Kabaris plus. Right here, you're either going to run away from me or you're going to hold my frame advantage. And people running away is the exact reason I get to do shit like this all the time to people. How would I do it? I'd probably do it like... oh, I know how I do it. I do it like this. Alright, this is a really good example. This is the last thing I'll show. But the reason that this works is because most people will like block this and go... So like, let's say you're standing here and you're like, do this. So you block and you're like, well, he's not that close and he's only +2, so I have an invincible backdash, so I'll just do that. And then it's like, well, cool. Now you're even closer than before. You've cranked your risk and you're in the exact same situation. And if you stick a hand out, we were really far from each other. If you stick your far slash out there, you're probably just going to stick your hand out into Kabari. Because I'm not that close, right? Baiken's fully disjointed there. Well, not fully, but mostly. Oh, and then... Fuck, I didn't show it. But when you're scrambling in the air in this game, you should delay your tech more. If people are chasing your tech all the time... I will show it, because it's really easy to show really fast. Xer tech is not like plus R tech. And the only reason I point that out is that there is a lot more, from what I can tell. I'm not a plus R player, but I am an Xer player. And from what I can tell, watching plus R, this game, Xer, has a way more interactive like air tech system. For better or for worse. You either live or die by that shit, right? But in plus R, like you tech and you just like pop up into the sky and like nothing happens a lot of the times. In Xer is a game where you can oftentimes have situations like this, where this is a good situation to like show it on. Or like good in the sense that like it'll give me the example, right? So like I'm gonna pop out. Actually, maybe that's not that great. Let's do jam throw into no combo, right? So the Xer tech system got you really mad. I think it's pretty fun once you understand it, and it's mostly just good at punishing people that don't understand how to be respectful around it, is what it boils down to. But it's a pretty aggressive like system, I guess is the way I put it. What I would say is like, so in a situation like this, I can tech like as early as right now, right? And so it might not seem like a big deal when like you're like, well, what difference does it make? The difference is you can choose to tech later like this. And when I'm flashing white like that, I have all my invincibility. So you can essentially like delay your tech as a neutral tech like this, and oftentimes like land invincibly onto the ground. Like I like it because it's really good at letting you get back down to the floor in Xer. When I see plus R, it looks fucking obnoxious. All you do is pop up. Like I'm the opposite. I look at plus R and I'm like, that looks so annoying. Like you just pop up and you kind of like have to wait for them to run up and do all their bullshit again. And there's like not much you can do about it. You just kind of pop up and hope maybe your character has good like jump into delay air options. Right? In Xer, it might feel really annoying when people are like chasing your air tech all the time. But a lot of what happens is like you need to learn to press it later. Right? What is important to recognize in Xer is when people can't reach you in time. So like something like this, for example, is a good example, right? Like, let's say I get thrown by Jam like this, and she does this and she messes up. Maybe I can show this better. Let me do this with like just like this, like one button. Actually, you know what? Let's do it like this. I think this is probably fine. The idea is I want to show a situation where like this. This is a good example. So, this, once she does this, the hard part about the air tech system in Xer is you have to understand when people can't combo you anymore. Once she kind of like falls through me and does this shit where she's like underneath me, Jam cannot hit me. In fact, she has to like touch the floor and then jump at me again to make anything happen, right? And so that's kind of like what that is. If I was to say like panic and go, well, I can escape the combo immediately, I'm gonna mash as soon as I can, right? Mash the tech. This is as soon as I can get out of it. I guess I'll do it the way I normally do it so that it like shows it, right? This is as soon as I can get my tech, but she's just gonna jump up at me and then air to air me. The idea is that in this game, because you don't actually like pop up the same way you do in a game like plus R, you actually are way more susceptible to people like chasing your air tech if that's what they choose to do in this game. But the key thing is, like, if you notice, like, she couldn't reach me until... Jam can't reach me until now. Like, this is the only time she can reach me. So while it's really subtle, even though she can chase me then, I can tech before she can chase me, right? The key here is understanding to delay your tech until the moment they're actually trying to hit you, is what it boils down to, right? So if I was to say, like I said, tech back immediately here, I'm oftentimes getting forced down into this. However, if I understand, well, she can't hit me immediately, I'm going to delay my tech like this. I will fall through her with invincibility and then land. And now, in fact, they're in bad positioning, right? Xer techs can be so delayed, you can punish people for chasing you like this by delaying your tech and throwing the pursuit, right? This will incentivize them to throw your tech, which means that you can now like change the timing at which you tech for that reason, right? This game, the tech system has like quite a bit of nuance to it, but it's unintuitive in the sense that people just assume, I want to get out of a combo, let me do it. But Xer, you can think of it as like a resource. It's a piece of invincibility that you get, that you can use to go through things and position yourself better, like this. I mean, that's the thing, is punishing tech is also layered. In other words, like, in order for you to punish a delay tech like this, it's a different concept in Xer than punishing an instant tech. They are different. If I was to punish instant teching, I would do what this jam did, probably. I would jump at you kind of like that, and I would force some kind of approach. But that would lose to you delay teching. The problem with Xer tech system is that people don't really like understand that concept a lot of the times, and so the deepest it gets is people will basically learn to throw air techs when the people tech instantly, and people will learn to sometimes anti-air techs, and that's about it. And people won't really learn how to play around delay teching. People won't really learn how to give up space in response to teching, or play around the fact that tech back is really punishing in this game when it doesn't come up. But yeah, the TLDR is like, just tech later. If you're teching in the air all the time because they're not knocking you down, and then seemingly they're like hitting you right after you tech, stop teching immediately, just delay it. And like, you will probably be fine. Ideally, if you delay your tech, usually pick a neutral tech so that you fall, so that you sink down like a rock. And it's like the fastest way that you can touch the floor. If you're gonna delay it most of the time, not all the time, I can give you like situations where that's not the case, but most of the time, delaying tech into a neutral tech is fine. But yeah, that was it. Kind of a random lengthy VOD review because we had those extra questions. But it was chill because we didn't have any more. I'd have to do a couple things, but I'll probably be back. I just play Xer. But yeah, bi-weekly VOD reviews happen exactly how they sound. I usually just post them in the Discord, or they'll usually be on the Baiken player, like bluesky account I have. So like, you can look on either one and see if there's bi-weekly VOD review that week, basically. I don't go crazy like posting them, but they tend to happen every 2 weeks. Obviously, there are exceptions, and I'll usually just tweet out, like, I won't tweet out I'm not doing it, but I will tweet out, hey, it's time for VOD review again. Or, you know, bluesky post, whatever it's called. But yeah, so it's like, if you find that you want to keep coming through or anybody's interested, they're usually like every 2 weeks or so. But I will cut the VOD here. I do have to upload this to YouTube. It is on YouTube, same thing. It's like Baiken Players, the YouTube, where I just post the VOD in case anybody wants to go back and like see the things we talked about. But it's posted usually like in a couple days. Anyways, I gotta cut the VOD, and I'll probably be back later. But yeah, appreciate anybody coming through. Hope the advice sticks for whoever was lurking or hanging out. If you want to watch more Xer, Harmonic Combo is happening. It's a weekly in NorCal, or like a monthly in NorCal. It's happening at Pat's house, so if you want to lurk and watch Guilty Gear, go ahead and drop by. But that's it for me. I'll catch you guys later. Have a good one. Peace.